Hey guys, so full disclosure, the reason why this review is late is because I've been running around a lot, and that in itself caused me to have an absolute shit day. Frankly, I just had so much bullshit to deal with, and because and but because of that absolute shit day I've had, sitting down to watch this episode not only felt relaxing, like relaxing just to sit down and watch, but the episode itself also kind of felt therapeutic in some ways. Like the whole fight between Shiki and even Shiki and Kurenai, and in a larger part, the fight between Homer and Garrett in this episode could be described in this way to me. I was Shiki and Homer. Kurenai and Garrett were basically all the bullshit I had to deal with today, and seeing both Shiki and Homura wail on Kurenai and Garrett in this episode was soothing to say the least. Like I relished in their defeats way more than I ever did in the manga in this episode. And granted, it's not only because of my own experiences today, but just because watching their defeat unfold also just felt way more satisfying as well compared to the manga. In fact, this episode is one of those examples to me where even though art and animation could be better in a lot of areas of this first season, it's episodes like this that also kind of remind me that in a lot of ways Mashima's work is in some ways still tailor-made for animation. Now, granted, there are still flops that the anime has made, but I think just in the broader scope, animation is what suits his work better. And the fact that we still haven't gotten Rave Master rebooted kind of annoys me even more, especially after watching both Fairy Tail and Eden Zero get an anime. Now, I guess if I did have one flaw to point out in this episode, this feels like one of those times where the quick pace of the episode kind of somewhat worked against the anime in this particular episode. Because normally I actually think the fast pacing works a lot. But here, I felt there were maybe a couple moments that deserved a little bit more time to breathe and just sit and for us to soak in. And by virtue of that, this is also the first episode where I can tell they are kind of rushing to the finish line of Sunjul, so that when season 2 starts, they can jump right into Boil Gore which, hey, I'm all for. But yeah, I wish they had just left a little bit of space open more. Of course, with that said, we also get the fight I've been interested in seeing, which is Rebecca versus Nino, where we see Rebecca unleash her ether gear for the first time. And I'll be honest, Leaper in concept is both a gift and a curse to this series, because as you'll find out in season 2, it provides. I'm not gonna say that her power is bullshit, but as you'll find out, the way it's explained, it does provide a very feasible way for our heroes to make it out of tougher scrapes. But at the same time, one of the bigger problems that arises from Rebecca's power is not so much that the power itself is bullshit, but that Mashima is sort of reaching that danger point in the manga of not having the best situational awareness with its use. However, I am also seeing more and more of what Zhao Mei's words mean about it saving the universe. So it's one of those things where I love and hate Rebecca's powers, because I'll get to it when I get to it, but when it is fully released, I'll get a full-on detailed explanation of why it works as well as it does. But again, it comes down to the situational awareness of the power, and that's the one thing Mashima still has to understand about how to use it. Of course, with the reveal of Nino's powers as well this episode, you can see what I was talking about with last week's episode, that Mildian was kind of one of those arcs that you could consider a filler in a lot of ways. It also provided the necessary setup and preparation for the fights here on Sunjul, because as Rebecca points out and just kind of sees with her own eyes and determines with how each fight has gone against Kurenai's elite soldiers, Rebecca is in a fight. Nino, by definition, is an otaku fist fighter, and so she's in a fight with an otaku fist fighter, just like when she faced that geeky boxer. So for however little you can say that Mildian arc mattered, those fights were necessary so our heroes could like have an understanding of how to beat Kurenai's elite guard. And I like how Nino is kind of teaching Rebecca sort of a lesson that Kurenai is also kind of teaching Shiki, which is this world is cruel and unforgiving, so the only way to survive is to be strong both in body and mind, but also willing to do what's necessary. And yeah, I think that particular lesson in some ways is really starting to come back and kind of bite Shiki in a way. Again, currently with what the manga is going on, because he has. Let's just say there will be times where Shiki will let his guard down a lot, and it will like get him in trouble for it. And yeah, I'll be honest, I'm only now starting to realize the anime might have been having a little too much fun with Garrett, because this episode, like, they really upped the creep factor and made me realize just how much they upped the creep factor in the anime. Like, the manga, let me put it to you this way. In the manga, I wanted to punch him, but in the anime, I want to tear him apart, rip his teeth out, and make him eat every single tooth. Like, that's how much his voice actor is making me hate this guy. So, I suppose kudos to the voice actor in that regard. And honestly, the more I look at Garrett, the more I see an early prototype for this kind of purely detestable scumbag character that he later perfected in the concept of a certain main villain in the series that everyone who reads the manga has been very keenly introduced to. Like, one thing Mashima really has, one thing obviously that's been painfully clear in this series is that one thing Mashima loves is the one thing the series and Mashima loves having fun with is creating villains you want to see get absolutely decimated, and it's definitely the case with Garrett in this episode because it felt so good to see Homura clap him. Which, on that note, with what we see of Homura and her harnessing the full extent, like almost her power having an awakening, and her powers like almost fully awakening with her emotions going out of control. You can also see how that's kind of setting up Homura in order to kind of solve the Starshine problem. Like, I don't think I need to say it out loud, but this episode kind of affirms that Homura will basically end up being the fourth Starshine in order to replace Valkyrie. So yeah, it kind of all comes full circle in this episode. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime signing off. Later, guys.